they got taught a lot at a young age where like how to eat, like sleep, these are the kind of things that I was hearing that, these players at Chelsea got over us in terms of like in the academy. They were very fast and very early with that whole academy thing.
Everybody, welcome to the Insight. Today we got Jordan Brown. Bro, how are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Bless. How were you keeping up during quarantine before?
Yeah, man, it was a unique experience for everyone. Experience that, you can't really prepare for. You just have to kind of take it how it comes, and that's how I kind of took it. Try to do things off the pitch, like side ventures that I've always kind of been interested in. Never really had the time to do it. Was working out, obviously trying to stay fit. At the time, we actually were gonna start our season. We were in the middle of preseason when this all happened, back in March, and we were actually supposed to go to Mexico, and that was like one of the first kind of flights to get cancelled during that time as well. So yeah, it was like a whole experience, one after another. But I always look at everything with a glass half full, not half empty. So how I kind of went into the period was like, trying to, make the best out of a bad situation. So yeah, that's how I kind of approached it. Yeah, man.
True. But at that time, like obviously there was an unsurety of things getting back. So how were you staying motivated, knowing that potentially things weren't going to come back, but in hope that things were going to come back?
Yeah, man, it was hard. Like, you go from training. We only started preseason because Canada. I was in Canada at the time, and in Canada we start the season in April. So this was going on in March, and then you go from training indoors inside the facility because outside is like really cold, and then we had to kind of go into the cold, do our like preseason, so to speak, at home. Ladders on the sidewalk, running 5K on the road, things
Swag.
like that. Yeah, man. Snow on the sidewalk and everything like that. A few experiences where a couple of my teammates where I was running with, they slipped, like as well, like ended up on their back running, doing 5Ks and stuff. So yeah, man, it was like yeah, like I said before, I was trying to make a bad situation into a good situation, but just having that mindset, going forward, that there's bigger things ahead, and hopefully it clears out. We didn't know what was going to happen, but eventually it came around where they kind of got a season together, and then that was like probably 4 months after that down the line. So yeah, it was a long wait.
Let's wheel it totally back. How did you get into football? Where did you start? Where were you? Like, talk me through it.
Yeah, man. How I got into football, I'd say I probably got in through my brother, my older brother. He's 7 years older than me. Someone who obviously is my older brother I looked up to. And yeah, he was kind of getting into the academy stages when I kind of joined football, or he was kind of getting looked at, from academies. And so what, he kind of joined later into the academy system than I did. He was like 12, 13, and then obviously I was 7 years younger, so I was 8 years old. I joined, like, we kind of joined at probably the same time, but in terms of like Sunday league, he stayed a lot longer than I did in that system. So I always looked at my brother, and yeah, man, my dad, he never really put no pressure on me or anything like that. He just kind of be like, go in the garden, go play football, go to the park, go play football, type of thing, type of thing. So yeah, man, it was like something that just came naturally, man. And I wasn't good at the start, but I stuck with it and kind of got me, to a career now in it.
Yeah, true. So what Sunday league team did you start with from your area before you obviously progressed on?
Yeah, a team called Old as Wervians. They were in what's the area called? Osterley,
Okay.
near Osterley. That's like West London, deep West London, near Heathrow, like past Heathrow actually, like Richmond, like past all those areas. But like it was a good, like it was a very good club. Um, age groups at the time, my age group above, etc., etc., all got into academies. Like we had like one player from each age group get into academy. My age group, probably I think there was like 4 or 5 who actually got into academies from one team. So that was very rare, you know. If I can remember, I think it was like 3 went to Chelsea, 1 went to Arsenal, 1 went to Watford. Um, but yeah, we had the best Sunday League team. It must be the best Sunday League team ever because we were unbeaten for 2 years. We never lost for 2 years. Yeah,
Bruh.
it was crazy. It was crazy, man. So, but hence why like 5 out of a 7-a-side team plus subs ended up going on to academy. So yeah, old Isleworthians they were called, and now they're called Spartans, I believe. So
That's good.
yeah, man.
So how did your journey at Arsenal start? How did you get scouted? Was it? Did you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Did you know?
Yeah, it was a blur, man. Like you know, thinking back now, you know, all those things you kind of just take it in your grasp. You know, you don't really kind of know what's going on. Um, all I can kind of remember is like going to like a camp type of thing. Obviously, you go to development centers and everything like that. I remember going there because that was like a weekly thing. But like going to these trials in the summer and stuff, I just remember like a lot of kids being there, and I don't remember what I must have done. Like I don't know why they picked me. I don't know. You know, I can't really remember. So I wish I did actually, but yeah, it's a very unique experience. And thinking back now, it's probably, you know, if my parents kind of made that more aware to me, then I probably would have felt the pressure more at a young age, you know, knowing that, wow, there's like 200 kids here, like, you know, I'm trying to be like one of 20 to get in the team out of 200. Like, what's the probability of that happening? And then what's even the probability of you being there in the first place, you know? Amount of kids who I played against in Sunday League, you know, they didn't even get called to that trial, for example. So yeah, man, it's you know, it's a process where, you know, it's the business, huh?
I
And
think.
that's kind of where it starts.
I think it's more like a hindsight thing because obviously now you can look back with clarity, but I think back then it's important for our development to be free and not worry about the exterior because as you know, football, if you're not like free minded, they can mess up your whole game, even if it's just one thing. You know what I mean? It just
100%, man.
so I think even though you didn't really know much at that time, I think it was good for your creativity. But
No,
were you always a striker then?
no, I started off as centre midfielder, man, and a goalkeeper. Like when I first started, like I was a goalkeeper for one half, and then I'd come out play centre mid for like the second half. But yeah, man, that was like in the first season, and then the second season when I kind of got good, then yeah, man, straight centre mid. They used to call me Pat Vieira, man. You know what I mean? I was like a Pat Vieira in midfield, and then got to Arsenal. And funny enough, like thinking back at it now, it's kind of funny that, well, I don't know how they do it now, but back then, they just picked, from what I believe, the best 20 kids. You know, they didn't pick them on position, or you know, they didn't ask you like where do you play or whatever. Because when I got there, there was no real striker, I believe. So I think they kind of made me into a striker through that process. You know, they were like no striker, so they were like, you know, you go striker. You know, and then
But
that's how I ended up.
I think that's the good thing about academies, especially at the beginning, because you learn to play everywhere, even though you don't want to. Like a lot of players move around positions but never really know it.
Yeah, 100%, man. I remember even like it's not like I just stayed striker as well. You know, I ended up getting moved to other positions when you know maybe they weren't rating me there or whatever. You know, end up playing like left back sometimes and things of that nature. And yeah, it was like a crazy time. You know, like you don't really realize. Like I said, you don't really realize when you're that young, but your parents know. Your parents, they all know what's going on. You know, and they do well to mask that kind of away from you. You know.
True. At what point during your Arsenal academy days did you now start feeling the pressure yourself?
Um, it's hard to say, man. Like, you know, I did start kind of thinking that I was good at like when I was like 12, kind of, probably around that age. But like knowing I play for Arsenal and that, like, you know, it was kind of like a normal thing to me. It was a bit weird, you know. So I didn't really think about that too much, but like I knew I was good when I was like 12 because that's when I kind of started to play up a year and you know play with like the older boys and everything like that. So I kind of knew at that age, you know, like potentially if I keep kind of going in the way I can go, then potentially I can make a career out of football. You know, obviously at the time you always think it's going to be Arsenal, but you know, at that time, I always thought like, yeah, if I keep going the way, you know, a kid's supposed to progress, then, you know, something can happen out of this. And I won't be a statistic where they say, oh, you know, he dropped out the game or whatever. Like, so I'd say like 12, 13, around that age, you know, other things start to come out as well. Like you start to hear about people watching you, whether that be international or like sponsorships or whatever that is. So that I would say around 12, 13 when I kind of knew.
Who else was in your age group? I think.
There was like I can say like I had two age groups if that makes sense. Like one age group was my school year, so that was like kind of my primary age group where you know um, you get contracts with this team and you know you'd probably go training on the same day as this team and everything like that, but um, you also got the age group that your year falls into. So I was a 96, so I was like one of the oldest in my age group because I'm born in November, so November 96. And then the people on the other half of the year were 97, but they were like in my school year, if that makes sense. You know how England works. So in my primary age group, 96, 97 was Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And he's really the only one. I think he's the only. I think me and him are like. See, I don't want to diss no one. Actually, no, tell a lie. Me, Ainsley, a guy called Regan Charles Cook.
Yeah,
Um, and obviously more people came later, right? Along the journey. But from like under 12s, I would say me, him, uh, Regan Charles Cook, Ryan Hoodart. Um, I think we're the only ones still playing football.
Swear.
Yeah, I think everyone else is not playing football, at least at a professional level anyway. Um, and then you got like my 96 age group, and that's the age group I used to go on tournaments with, either play international games with. And that was Alex Iwobi, still playing, Jermaine Anderson, he's played in the Championship, League One, League Two. Fejiri Okunabiri, he plays for Doncaster. Who else is there? I don't want to get no names wrong, but yeah, there's a few in that age group who are still playing, more than my actual primary age group. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. How was the international tournaments and when you played other big teams? Like, how was that experience?
Yeah, for us it was heartbreaking, man. Like we used to get so far, man, but just never close enough, man. Like always in the semi-final or something, just get knocked out, man. Um, Sometimes to a referee decision, and sometimes to like just bad decision making on our part, learning the game and everything. So, and we were always the age group that like they never thought we would do well. So like we would go to like tournaments, like get to the semi-final, and they wouldn't expect us to get there. And we nearly like get to the final, win it or whatever, but just wasn't close, you know. But yeah, was good experience, man. You know, I can talk about a lot of tournaments and games I've played in against like Barcelona, Real Madrid. Remember one time we played against like some Japanese team; they were crazy.
Man,
Yeah, Chelsea, obviously. Chelsea used to turn up to these tournaments, you know, create a bit of havoc there as well. And yeah, say it again.
How good were they really like?
Chelsea.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
obviously
man. They
stuff, but then it's like different when you play it with like, you know what I mean?
Nah, they were the real deal, man, from young age. And you know, I don't know what it was like in terms of if I think a few things, you know, they got taught a lot at a young age where like how to eat, like sleep, you know, these are the kind of things that I was hearing that, you know, these players at Chelsea got over us in terms of like you know, in the academy. They were very fast and very early with that whole academy thing where, you know, they had a routine, you know, getting boys from school, getting them into training on day release, living next to the training ground and stuff. They were like very early on that, and everyone kind of followed after that. And yeah, Arsenal, thinking back at it now, it was kind of like yeah, it was good experience. It was kind of like a Sunday league type of vibe. Like, you know, everyone comes from, well, a lot of guys look like me, for example, either African descent or Caribbean descent, um, born in London, some not born in London or whatever, some born in, you know, Nigeria or wherever and grew up in London. And yeah, it was just like kind of like a brother vibe, you know, like type of thing, you know. And yeah, I feel like with Chelsea, they were more like more on top of, you know, getting a program in terms of teaching them how to be footballers from a young age. So I feel like they always kind of got the upper hand with that. And plus, they had more room for like a bigger squad of talented players. So like our first 11 more time than not could compete with them, or like 6, 7 players can compete with them, but they got like a player in every position. Then they bring in on someone who's, you know, quite similar to the players they already had on the field. So yeah, like my age group 96, who was 96? Like Chelsea. Some like you know, some you might not know, but two at Fulham now, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ola Aina, Charlie Colkett. He's in Sweden now. Um, Jeremy Boga used to play up, so he was a 97, but he was used to play there. Then they used to have like Charlie Masunda, like talented players, man. Like it was very hard to, you know, to match them.
Yeah, true. How was it when so obviously at Arsenal you would see players like in and around the country, let's say that. How was it now
Mm-hmm.
when you were seeing Arsenal buy players from abroad?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Yeah, that happened when I was like 16, 15. Chelsea, they would do, like I said, Chelsea, they had like different resources. So they would do that from like even a younger age, like from 12 and everything like that. Like Arsenal, I really only saw that from like 15, 16, you know, where they would kind of get someone in from a different country young. And Arsenal's scouting back then anyway, thinking back, no disrespect to any of the boys who came in, but it was very different, man. Like in terms of, you know, the players who got brought in. Maybe thinking back at it, the first team they saw something in the player where they thought they could kind of get to the next level, and you know, but they didn't really have some attributes where they were very suited to the English football. For example, great player. His name's Gideon Zellerman, who
Yeah.
I played with. Yeah, great player, great talent, but like he wasn't really suited to the English game, you know. Like he should be a player who goes to Spain or something, you know.
Yeah.
But then you have Jeremy Boga, same age, same position, and like the way he's built and the way he moves and his mechanics and fast, strong, plus unbelievably technical, and you he's very much suited to the English game, or you could put him in any country really. And he can deal with like that contact, But I feel like the way they scouted back then, I don't think it was the right scouting, to be honest, for youngsters. Like bringing in foreigners, I think they always got like the English players right, who they would try bring in, but like the foreigners, I don't think it's a couple of the signings that I remember, and none of them have kind of gone on to do well in the first team. So yeah, that was a problem, I would say, looking back.
Thinking, well, obviously having gone around different places and played, physicality here is a mad thing. Like you don't the level of space you get in other places compared to here is not. I don't know if it's the same with you, innit?
Yeah, man. Like in England, it's about like majority of 1 versus 1 battles, man. And if you can win your 1 versus 1 battle, however you do that, then I think you'll have a good chance to be a player, man. I feel like how you do that more time than not, people say, for example, I'm playing against a defender and I'm faster than him. And why would I just not knock the ball past him and run?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to. There's different ways to skin a cat, obviously, but I feel like in England, that's kind of what you need to have like in your armory, like every single way. And yeah, physicality is one of them, pace is another one, and obviously intelligence, like that's obviously the most important one. But the other things, like I just mentioned, that you could use like to get by in English football is needed in most teams, I'd say.
Sure. Well, let's move on. Obviously, you decided to leave Arsenal and go to West Ham. Why did you make that decision at that time?
Yeah, man. For me, back then, it was kind of like, looking back at it, it was like, I wouldn't say a no-brainer, but it was almost like, how likely do I have a chance to play, like, for example, a season for Arsenal?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think, I couldn't put a percentage on it, but I just didn't see that was very likely, especially how, like, I was rated the top of my age group, but I wasn't rated more than previous guys who came before me at that age. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I was rated at the top of my age group, but in comparison to someone who played my position who was a year older, I saw them get fast-tracked a lot quicker than I did. So it was almost like, we're only a year apart, or only a couple of years apart. Like, why would they never prioritize that guy ahead of me? You know what I mean? So for me, I kind of looked at the situation. I was like, let me kind of be a big fish in a smaller pond. And that's kind of what I did. West Ham still had very good talented strikers as well. Just not kind of, I would say they weren't as cultured as they were at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And that's something that I kind of needed to get used to. Like, I kind of had to add like the gritty side to my game and everything like that going to West Ham. But in terms of my, in my opinion, like my talent as a footballer and as a striker at the time, I thought like I had a better chance to feature for West Ham's first team, which ended up doing. So looking back, you can say kind of it was, a decision where it worked out half. I would say half the way it worked out. The other half, for whatever reason, didn't end up progressing at West Ham. They always told me at Arsenal, if you ever leave this place, you'll never play on a pitch like this again. Like every day,
Yeah.
And that's the truth, man. I've never played on pitches like that. Even from when I was like 8 years old, the pitches I was playing on at Arsenal, man. Like,